afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Bill Hagan. I am a director and senior portfolio manager with Hirtle Callaghan Company. We are thrilled to partner with the CFA Society of Philadelphia to host the Kickoff launch to the annual Research Challenge. It's a great event, and we're happy to sponsor it and host you all here today. By way of agenda, in a moment I'll introduce Ranji Nagaswamy, our CEO, who will make some introductory remarks. And then we'll ask you to join us in the cafe for a nice lunch. And at about 12:45, we'll come back in here to kick off the agenda for the day. I'll just give a brief minute on Hirtle Callaghan. Hirtle Callaghan was formed in 1988 to serve as outsourced chief investment officers for large family groups and endowment and foundation clients. We build total program solutions, starting with planning, asset allocation, manager selection, and oversee the day-to-day responsibility of an internal investment department. For over 30 years, we've grown from 3 people and a few $100 million in assets under management to about 100 employees and over $22 billion in assets. When I think about my career here over the last 13 years, I attribute a lot of the success to my involvement in the CFA program. So as a plug to the CFA curriculum, it's something that we certainly think is a highly regarded, highly sought after designation. And if you are thinking about a career in financial services, particularly investment management, it's something that I would strongly encourage you to consider. Recently, 2 years ago, Ranji joined us as our CEO. And very recently, the CFA Institute recognized Ranji as a global leader in finance, something we're very proud of. So I wanted to start with a brief video where Ranji was featured by the CFA Institute.
Investment bank Lehman Brothers has filed for bankruptcy today, triggering...
Everything changed on the morning of the collapse in 2008. The financial market was in chaos and the world was on its knees. As a chief investment officer, I was shaken. How did our actions put the system at this kind of risk? I realized there was a crisis of leadership and it served as a wake-up call. I grew up in India studying classical Indian dance. I had no idea that this creative foundation would influence my career in finance, allowing me to develop a very different approach. I live by Gandhi's motto, to be the change. And so, in the aftermath of the financial crisis, my life took a new direction. I went into government and joined Mayor Bloomberg in New York City, where I began to formulate my ideas about the kind of financial leaders I wanted to see in the world. Working with the Aspen Institute, I founded a fellowship program to train future financial leaders to step up and accept their responsibility to deepen finance's role in society. My life's work has been to ask the hard questions and lead by example. It may seem radical, but we can change the world.
Okay. Welcome, Ranji.
So we are all delighted to partner with CFA Philadelphia to host all of you. Welcome. Why am I especially excited in introducing you to Hirtle Callaghan and having you here with us? Because of the extraordinary alignment between what we are here to do at Hirtle Callaghan and what CFA, in fact, is attempting to do. Deep research, asking the truly difficult questions of companies, of all of the potential investment opportunities, so that we can use our investment acumen for society to make more money, for sure, for our clients, for retirees, for pensioners, for savers around the world, but to, in that process, hone our craft to be constantly getting better at investing, at asking the right questions, at analysis, so that we can make better decisions for our clients, not just charge high fees. So in introducing you to Hirtle Callaghan, what you see in front of you is not a fact sheet with how many assets we manage, but our mission and our value statement. And I hope you take that away as your lasting impression of Hirtle Callaghan, other than our extraordinary chef who's about to treat you to lunch and this great auditorium. I hope what you take away is that you were briefly visiting a firm with values that are completely aligned with what the CFA is here to do and with what we hope you will do in your careers in the investment industry. Very briefly, I got my CFA in 1986. I recognize that other than the professors in the room, none of you were even born then. I have sat on more committees at the CFA in all of the intervening years with many people I regard as industry luminaries. I have worked and known more CFA presidents and governors in my time. And one of these days they will get me to be governor of the CFA Institute, but not yet. But when I arrived here, I recognized that this job as OCIOs, outsourced chief investment officers, is the culmination of everything that the CFA 1 and 2 do in CFA 3. When you sit for your third exam, you will learn everything that makes Bill Hagan, Doug Monty, and the 25 plus CFAs at Hirtle Callaghan come in and be as effective as we are. Because while you're here for a stock competition, it isn't about picking stocks or bonds. We have a holistic approach to using all investment tools, all asset classes, returns, risk, and correlation to holistically design portfolios for clients. So when your college endowment has to invest, they hire people like us. We become their outsourced CIO, their outsourced chief investment officer. So you can see why I was super excited when Bill and Doug and Nick Fozzi and others stepped up to engage with CFA Philadelphia, to engage with you and your team. We want to be leaders in our investment community. We want to be available and useful to you as you go about your mission of furthering the investment craft in Philadelphia. So welcome, delighted you are here. We do hope that in the years to come, you reach out to us, you go to our websites, shameless plug here, to come join our team. You're not ready yet for us. We don't hire kids right out of school because what we want you to do is go get some great experience in picking stocks and bonds and building portfolios, private equity, hedge funds, whatever. Go get that basic skill set. We hire you 3 years out typically, and we hope you will have a very lucrative career with us. When you come back and interview, remind us that you were here today. Enjoy the day.
We're break for lunch. It is noon. We're right on schedule. Around 12:45, I think we'll aim to get back in our seats here. And if I could ask everyone to, we have a chef named Kiri who does a fantastic job. Everyone could just show their gratitude and thank him for the wonderful meal he's provided. We'd appreciate that. So please, thanks.
Sorry.
Of your style.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
Yeah, so Mike, will you come back or?
Yeah, and there's a full.
Professor said, thank you.
They're about doing that. Yeah, I'm not trying to.
You guys know who it is?
No, I do. And I have not told, I have not told.
Yeah, local. Just testing. Let's see if we can trust it.
Someone that was one of the early ones that received I saw the name tag. Actually, you know what, they give it away. You only study the name tag. I don't think that Head Start might as they want.
Basically, what happens is the top four or whatever get brought in to actually do a presentation on. Okay. So they have to.
As it goes on and some questions come up. Figure out college. Yeah. And in one case, it was like, you guys thought that was great. Oh, absolutely. Oh, you got me good? If you know the commitment level of the mentor as well, 10 hours,
I think it's not
good guys.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to be your mentor, not be your making sure they're heading in the right direction.
The first year I was involved, and then debrief call afterwards.
The goal is, I actually think,
Syntax sucks.
I saw very
Right. I think they just work. Another one is got really good fit for everyone. Sports has so much fun with they try to split it.
like the
That's great. Just, I don't remember that one. First time. But they had a lot of fun. Is it lunchtime? It is. I figured I'd let that get
Our casual Fridays are
It's been a long.
They are. Our casual Fridays is going to be tough. Yeah. You make sure, like, John's out there. That's good. That's a perfect day for me. Like it. You know, so you just kind of stick with it. Never supposed to bring that extra shirt and top, you know, with I like it. I got to change, and then I got to change again. Yeah, trying to economize it, so switch it over to streamline it now. Yeah, the shoes you can wear after you golf. Everything is like 10 more minutes of one other short.
Well, that's honestly some of that money.
Yeah, just to kind of watch this really.
Well, I'm going to take a lap and
Yeah, I think the
Hey, Sean, how you doing?
the programs.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just looked at the address. But I went there, he's like, you're the 20th person that came in here. What's going on? What is this? Oh, it's just the front desk. Just the end of the building.
Oh, hey, Steve from very nice.
Wow. She's into it. No, so maybe it's already sorry.
they hinted at it the Monday morning meeting. They didn't say, yeah, something about the overflow line too. I heard that they do another exit up to 23 from like the other side of the building. Fortunately for me, if you go out on P3, if you make a right on Barnhart, but people cut through Barnhart to go to the
I got
If you go that way and then you cut loop back around, yeah.
West Metro, up the street.
To get back up the Contact State Road, Spring Mill, or
No.
just bypass, well, just reach one and make a left.
Hey, Steve.
Right.
I mean, that's almost as quick. I just never think about it.
The attorneys are asking.
You never be too careful.
Yeah. I'll try not to stutter.
Yeah.
How was the flight home last night?
Good, except when we got in right as the thunderstorm.
Oh, that's right.
We were stuck on the runway.
Oh my gosh.
They couldn't get
dumplings in our own, and like, he goes, oh yeah, we don't make it for each other. I want to work on this course. What course? I'm going to check out 4 and 5. No, right. Okay. What's your involvement here? Oh, your chair? Oh, okay. Okay. You're the leader, right? That's Ron Julius said, right? You better know Bill then. Okay.
That's why I cycle long distance. So basically, in a couple of hours, I can burn off 1,500 calories. So that's basically
Okay. What do you do?
until the cycling season is over. And then I forget that I can't eat carbohydrates and I'm putting on 10 pounds in about 1 month.
There is one person I want to
We should talk about other stuff too. There's lots of ways. Well, so.
Hey, thank you.
No, I think we're. I think you want to. Are you going to a bench? Okay. You want to? Yeah. There's no line. There's no line right now. Okay. You want to have something to it? There's no line right now.
There's.
Sorry. You want to have something to it? There's no line. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
It's a little bit, but
Yeah, so you have a fair amount of background that we're in business.
That always seems like fun. Yeah, after you're retired, you have to
Oh, were you good? Like trying to look like I was doing it on
Just listen to the same thing, just like sit there and listen. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could probably talk loud. It is, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. So, when I got to have some lunch, I was going to have
Oh, yes, yeah, because we did do a great job of locking down the ship.
It's pretty different. Yeah, it's, I guess for myself, it was midnight, but there was thunder, so they couldn't.
So, yes, it's, I'd like to have
This is a February break.
Well, we actually have, but they have some vehicle that comes out and helps park, and they're not
And should we bite? Should we bite? So be careful. such a for you. Really, still? Yeah. Price is set to so it's not limited by it's not and the teams are generally 4. Yes, 4 is a maximum 5. Christiana, Steve Dolce. Hi. Nice to meet you.
Make sure you have your exam so that you can take care of me when I get home.
It's always easier. It's show up. Right. You never know.
Hi, I'd like to thank you so much for being part of the conversation. Like that.
No, I mean, I just avoid.
Yeah, we were talking about that store you drive by all the time. I didn't know originally that was the original store. Is it Christiana? Christiana. Okay, that we are. Yeah. Vice President. She is the So I tell us we have slides to say don't contact. Right. To start out. Sure. Should I actually transition to presentations? So I'll be sort of manning the main deck. And then I'll transition to being on and you can give it a try. And then I can see it right here. It's still here.
I think we're pretty good on time. It's like 12:45. That's good. Let them relax for 10 minutes. Okay. So hello, Bill Hagan with Hirtle Callaghan. So welcome you. Thanks for coming.
Hey Bill, quick question. For the acoustics in the room,
Yep.
we're going to try to record the session.
We are recording. It'll pick up the microphone audio.
Will it pick up if I'm just walking around the room?
There are lavaliers. That's what they're called.
Yeah.
I just need to find them for you.
Okay, for like a hotel.
Testing. So excuse me, I'm going to go on the
And does it know if I have a lavalier on, does it know that I can see it?
Yeah.
We don't do private access. Oh, I have done it.
Whoop. This will be good.
Thank you very much for.
So it's on now. I'm going to turn it off. And then you'll flip that back on.
You probably should. There's less of us, probably many fewer with us.
I know, our target is, that's our target customer is.
Yeah, that would be. I have two boys, so we give it a we're in there a lot.
Yeah, yeah, boys like it.
Yeah.
Right.
We could double.
Women, moms.
I know my daughter's done it, she does every side my son, Robbie, actually lives there. Okay. He's on the investment So our Hirtle, it's a segment of our community,
It's nice to have a.
He does all these things.
Yeah, I guess I was just saying the people that I guess it's not going to hold 3 years.
It's okay. I'm not competitive. I have no cells. Our database is small. Yeah, our database also.
Got to be small or big? Is that coffee? Where did you get that? Yeah. There's other people that do this. There's some people that do this. There's other ways to do it. So, you know, I don't know the line.
Feel odd, like
It seems so free. Had to get charged. Pass the exam. Word walk when I was in exams. Your reference lawyers. You have your CFA, just like that. I think that's the year where we qualified. You're recording.
Well, they went to
Is it though? Is it really though? Teachers and legislators are on board and know what they're talking about. Yes, that's another one. That's why it's such a special because it's all these percentages just understanding like what concept
yeah, and they would
I've always questioned every time I question that's what hurt why don't question. Done with
like only one was right. Or did you find all that
Welcome, everyone. I'm sure that was a little bit better than the dorm food you guys are used to. They do a really nice job here. We really want to thank our hosts, Bill, and the chef and everybody. They're really generous to put this on for us, and it's a great facility. So my name is Rob Norton. I'm the current president of the CFA Society of Philadelphia. We are a society on a mission. We are part of the CFA Institute, over 150 societies across the world with over 165,000 members. We currently have about 2,200 members in the Philadelphia area, and we're really focused on advancing the investment profession. That means ethics, knowledge, and doing things that sort of benefit the society. We're really thinking about making sure we put our investors first. That's something that I think is something new to the investment business or the way people think about it. So we really want to make sure that that's something that we think about all the time. We work on delivering value for our members through a couple of different ways. One is we hold educational events. We do career services, job boards, that kind of thing. We like to do networking and provide a place for like-minded professionals to get together and sort of learn from each other. We do a lot of outreach to different parts of the area. We do community outreach. That we do financial literacy, where we go into high schools and do some things like that. We're in the process of trying to roll out with the Pittsburgh Society financial literacy to every high school student in Pennsylvania. So we're really trying to do some things that sort of change how people think about finance and how they think about their own finances. We're very interested in diversity and inclusion. I'm really excited to see so many young women here today. That's exciting. We in the investment business have a little bit of a problem. I think our membership is probably less than 20% women. That's not good enough, not even close. So I really encourage you guys to think about it. It's a great career for everybody, but we want to be inclusive across the board. And it's something that we're spending a lot of time on and really making an effort there. We have a very active women's advisory committee as part of our organization, and they've got a lot of autonomy and they're doing a lot of great stuff. They're reaching out to a lot of universities, doing a lot of programming. We're really trying to encourage that. I think it's a long way until we get to 50-50. We need to start high schools, start at this kind of situation. I can't get to 50-50 if I don't have 50% women here, right? So you guys are making a great effort, and I encourage you and tell your friends, all right? It's a great business. I have a young daughter. She's a couple years into the investment business, and I think it's great, and I really encourage it. So that's something that I think really exciting. The other thing we do is we outreach to investment firms in the area. We have partnerships with like Hirtle Callaghan and many of the firms in the area. It's a very symbiotic relationship. We have a lot of talented investment professionals. They have a lot of needs. We work together, and we find a lot of synergy there. The other thing that we reach out to is universities. And the centerpiece of our university outreach is the Research Challenge. It's kind of done all across the world. It's a great program. And we're excited to have you guys here and participating. Another aspect of something we do for universities is we have a career in investment seminar that we do in the spring. We kicked off the first one last year. It was a really successful event. We basically had a number of different panels where we had young investment professionals talk about what they do on a day-to-day basis. And we found that some of the college students really appreciated that. We always thought they were like, what do you do every day? Like, people were asking like, how much, when do you come to the office? How much travel you do? They were asking like really basic things. And we were like, oh, aren't you really interested in like this other stuff? But no, it's really a kind of a hands-on thing where you get to talk to investment professionals and find out what it is they do, how did they get into business, and what do they get out of it. So we're excited about that. Last thing I'm going to say, I was at an event last week, and I met one of our members, a guy named Rob Keller. He's works for a firm downtown, Clark Capital Management, and I told him we were doing this. He said, you know what? I was in the research challenge. So there was a person sitting in your seat who's now in his late 20s, has a CFA, works for an investment firm. He all got to start doing exactly what you guys are doing today. So I'd encourage you to, give it a great, put a big effort in, see if it's for you. If it is, we have lots of resources along the way to support you as you sort of enter your career in the investment business. So that's all I'm going to say. He's next. He's going to tell you about the program.
Thanks, Rob. Good afternoon. Specifically, the students, the faculty, and as well as the mentors. Welcome to the 2018-2019 Equity Research Challenge, the Philadelphia Local Edition. My name is Mike Neely. I am the humble servant to you all around the room as the committee chair this year, supported by the steady hands of my team, Sean Heverling, immediate past chair, Adish Jain, co-committee chair, and certainly not least, Pete Connors, the executive director of the Philadelphia Society. Over the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to cover several different topics. I'm going to take us through high-level overview of the competition. Then we'll have a chance to hear a little bit more about ethics. Then we'll transition into hearing about best practices for how to actually write a research report. And then we'll do the big reveal. So there may be fireworks, there may be balloons. You're just going to have to stay tuned, and we'll see how that actually progresses. When thinking about sort of the essence of what the Research Challenge is all about, I wanted to use a quote. And the quote is, "An investment in knowledge pays interest." Best interest. And I think this is important because as you go through this competition, it's not about the outcome. The unique part about this competition is not about whether you get your buy, hold, sell correct, you get the target price correct. It's about being thoughtful in the process and valuing that as you go through this experience. For anyone in the room, do you know who said this? Extra credit. Who is it? That is correct. Franklin said it. You'll learn in ethics that you do have to make sure that you're mentioning who made certain quotes of information. So some numbers that are important. 5,500 students will participate this year, 1,100 different universities, 86 different countries. So you're getting my point, this is a global competition, and you're going to have the opportunity to start right here in Philadelphia at the local level. You're going to be able to partner with your professors, with your industry mentors. You're going to learn how to write a research report, and you're going to get a lot of great experience along the way. So what does the competition actually look like? I mentioned before it's going to start at the local level. So Philadelphia here and the Society is hosting the local level. All of you here today. During this process, we're going to give you a subject company. Every competition actually picks a different subject company. Okay? So it's not about the firm. You're going to all write a research report, and the top 4 reports are going to be the ones that are invited to the presentation final. If you're lucky enough to be the one team that we send to the regional, all of those 1,100 schools will actually be in a different region. You have the Asia-Pac region, which is actually being held in Sydney this year. The Americas region, which we'll be part of, is actually New York, is that location. And then the EMEA region is going to be in Zurich, Switzerland. So again, you get a sense for that global nature of the competition. If you make it beyond this, we're cutting the field down 90%. You're in the top 10% of the competition. Each of those regions will either send 2 or 1 teams. Asia only sends 1, the other 2 sends 2. So there's 5 teams that are going to be in the global final. At that point, you're just being there. You're in the top 1/2 of 1% of people participating in this competition, which is a really fantastic statistic. The global final will be held in New York as well. Last year we had about 15 teams. Here's a representation of some of the schools that will be participating this year. We expect to be at least that strong this year, and hopefully some newcomers along the way. So if you're new to the competition, welcome. If you're coming back, thank you for participating again this year. Now, the benefits for students are really important. And other than the great trophy that we have here, that's the trophy that we actually provide to the winning team, the Bull and the Bear trophy. There's a lot of really tangible benefits. And it's all about experience. There's going to be a lot of social media presence throughout. We'd encourage you to sort of embrace that to get your exposure out there. Working with industry professionals as well. Use the opportunity to network with them. Use the opportunity to learn from them as you go through this process. And if you don't believe me, just reference the YouTube video in the bottom right-hand corner. You can actually hear from other students who have participated in the past and what their experience has been like. Last year, University of Delaware was our local champion. So they had won, and they had a couple keys, I think, to success, maybe 3. They had a really dedicated industry mentor, a dedicated faculty advisor. They spent the time, and as a result, they went through this whole process and were able to be successful. On the right-hand side, the global final last year was in Kuala Lumpur, so that the teams competing there actually had to go out to Southeast Asia. But what I didn't mention, the University of Delaware all expenses paid trip to Boston last year, and this year it'll be to New York for that lucky winning team. Now a little bit about the rules. I'd expect every single team to go onto the CFA Institute website and read the rules, okay? They're not that long, and it's really important you do so because there's going to be even more that's listed here. I'll pick 2 or 3 out that I think are most important. Number 1, you're going to be running a research report that's your own. So your faculty advisor and your mentor, they can provide guidance, but you as the students will be actually running the report. The other thing that I'll mention has to do about eligibility. So just make sure when you go through and read the eligibility requirements, it has to do with, are you a CFA charter holder now? Many of you aren't, and that would be a disqualifying factor. Are you a graduate or undergraduate student at the point of today's kickoff? And then there's some other things about your experience. Maybe if you had full-time experience in equity research previously, that would disqualify you. So if you have questions, please reach out. We're going to ask that every team and their advisor certify that they have eligible participants. As far as the faculty and advisors in the room, you have a really important job, I think an awesome responsibility. The key things here, and even for the students, how much time do you actually get to spend with your student teams? Each of these individuals bring a different perspective. Some are bringing more industry knowledge, some are bringing more practitioner or academic knowledge to the fold. Maybe how to do a good presentation, things like that. You only can use your faculty advisor for 10 hours and your mentor for 6 hours. What we'd encourage as a best practice early on, figure out what that cadence is going to be, how you're going to meet with them, how you're going to leverage them to have the best ultimate product at the end. And lastly, we'll finish with the competition timeline. Today, October 3rd, is the kickoff, certainly. There's a couple others that are really important. October 19th is going to be the date when, if your university have not registered, please register. A student have not registered, please register. You're going to get access to other resources as you go through. And Valentine's Day is the local final, so hopefully you don't have any partners who are upset with that if you make it to the final, but tell them it'll be worth it. So February 14th is that, and then you see where the other dates fall. We're going to hold questions until the end. I'm going to bring everyone back up here. You guys can hit us with as many questions as you want. But now I'm going to pass it off to Adish Jain, who's going to talk us through some of the ethics and code of standards. Adish?
Thank you, Pete. Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. Congratulations to participating students. There is no better way to do equity research and analysis and prepare for a career as an investment professional. This is wonderful. I'm going to briefly talk about ethics and a few basics. A primary objective of CFA Institute and CFAP Society in hosting this competition is to emphasize the importance of ethics in our profession. Even though the competition is testing presentation and technical expertise, ethics are fundamental. CFA Institute and its affiliates take ethics seriously. Code of ethics and standard of professional conduct are not add-ons or additional topics. Ethics are a way of life. Ethics and integrity are the founding blocks. We build and develop our professional and personal lives with these fundamentals. CFA Institute's Code of Ethics and Standard requires investment professionals to act with integrity, diligence, and respect, maintain and improve professional competence, exercise independent professional judgment and reasonable care when conducting analysis, making recommendations, taking investment actions, and other professional activities, uphold rules that govern capital markets, act in an ethical manner, and public, client, prospects, employees, employers, and co-workers. Foremost, client interests are always above personal interests. Now, I would encourage you all to read the following slides and decide if the behavior is ethical. All participants have an obligation to avoid actual or potential conflicts with their participation. A conflict may be actual or perceived. Each participant must disclose to CFA Institute in writing of any potential conflict, including but not limited to any ownership interest in the subject company and any close personal or professional relationships with employees of the subject company. Judges and graders must further disclose any close personal or professional relationship with team members, mentors, or faculty advisors. CFA Institute will investigate any disclosures of actual or potential conflicts of interest. If a conflict of interest is found to exist and cannot be reasonably and timely cured, the individual with a conflict of interest will be disqualified from participation. CFA Institute may disqualify a team for the competition if any team member, industry mentor, or faculty advisor is found to have a conflict of interest that is incapable of being reasonably and timely cured. The decision 4 of CFA Institute regarding the existence of a conflict of interest, its determination regarding the disqualification of any individual or team is final and binding. plagiarism is defined as copying or using the same materials prepared by others without acknowledging the source of the material or identifying the author and publisher of such materials. Teams can read existing research on the subject company, but all the analysis should be their own. They may not copy analysis without acknowledging the source. Sourced information should be properly cited using a generally accepted citation method. Allegations of plagiarism will be investigated by CFA Institute. Team members found to have plagiarized will be disqualified and reported to the CFA Institute Professional Conduct Program. The team's university may also be ineligible to participate in the following year's competition. The decision of local host or the CFA Institute regarding plagiarism is final and binding. Respect the third-party intellectual property rights is essential to the CFA Institute Research Challenge. While teams are free to include any material, it is the obligation of each team to ensure that the use of any third-party materials comply with all applicable licenses, copyrights, and trademark laws. CFA Institute grants each participating team a non-exclusive, non-transferable, revocable license to use CFA Institute name and logo. Teams may not change or alter the CFA Institute name or logo in any formal way. CFA Institute shall own the copyright of all materials prepared by all participants in connection with the CFA Institute Research Challenge. The written reports and presentations prepared for the challenge may not be used for any purpose other than participation in the research challenge. By participating in the research challenge, each participant agrees to CFA Institute's privacy policy. In making your recommendations, have a reasonable and adequate basis to support it with documented research. Make efforts to cover all relevant issues. Consider scenarios that are outside the recent experience. Assess downside risk. Distinguish between opinions and facts. In conclusion, I would like to say that it is extremely important to define objectives clearly. How we go about achieving the stated objectives is a test of our ethics and integrity. I hope no one had any trouble reaching the appropriate conclusion from the slides. Now, I will hand over to Steve to brief how to write a research paper. Thank you.
Can everyone hear me? Okay. So, I'm Steve. I'm going to tell you how to write a research paper. Cook & Mueller is a buy-side investment management firm, so I don't write research papers on a daily basis, but I certainly read them on a daily basis and can identify a good one from a bad one. So I'm going to try to show you guys how to write a good one. So the purpose of a research paper is to provide relevant content and unique insight and perspective. You should think about who the reader is. And in most cases, it's an experienced buy-side portfolio manager or an experienced buy-side analyst. So they're looking for more than just simple regurgitation. You want to provide them information that will help an educated person make a more informed decision. It is not a data dump. And that is important. You need to value the reader's time. More is not better. Better is better. The biggest spreadsheet doesn't win. The most thoughtful, rational, impactful one has a very good chance of winning. You also don't want to be inaccurate. You want the conviction that you do have to be led by facts. Focus on your inputs, and your recommendation and valuation work is simply the output of that. And there's a saying that you don't want to let facts get in the way of a good story. Don't do that. Let your good story be supported by the facts. And you want to be aware of confirmation bias, and that is that you have a thesis and that you interpret information in a way that conforms to your pre-existing beliefs. Try to avoid that, come in with an open frame, and actually look for disconfirming evidence, because that can oftentimes lead you to the path of truth. So the key elements of a report are as follows. I'm going to go through each one. You'll have this deck available to you, so I'm going to move on. The first section is the investment summary, and it's what it sounds like. It's a summary of the key points that you're going to be talking about within the report. And you want it to be brief, describing the business model, your investment theses, risks, fair value, and the expected return for buyers at the current market price. The business description is basically where you're answering the who, what, how, and where. What do they do? Who are their customers? How do they reach those customers? And where do they operate? So for example, what do they do? You can have more than one way of making money. You can be a manufacturer. You can have a brand franchise like Apple. You can be a distributor like UPS, or you can be in the business that help transfer risk, like an insurer like Chubb. All of these things are important to identify up front because they're going to lead you to a process of how you're going to generate your analysis going further. Another thing, who are their customers? What drives a customer to purchase their product? You want to understand the cyclical drivers. Is it a repeat purchase? Is it a need or is it a want? There's other things that you may want to discuss here as well. So if they have major financial segments, you may want to discuss those. If there are major recent developments like a CEO change, a big acquisition that they recently made, a large restructuring program that's just been undertaken, now would be a good time to describe that as well. So Warren Buffett, and I have a quote for you from Buffett. He's been known to say that when an industry with a reputation meets a management team with a reputation, it's the reputation of the industry that remains intact. Industry matters. So don't take this section lightly. You want to talk about the addressable market size. What's the direct addressable market size? What are the adjacent or the potential future addressable markets that this business that you're analyzing might go into? What are the market characteristics? Is it a regulated monopoly? Is it a duopoly? Is it a well-functioning oligopoly? Or is it highly fragmented? All of that's going to lead you to a certain set of circumstances and questions that you're going to have for management. And finally, what are the key demand drivers? What drives demand? Is it GDP, population growth, technology? Is it the consumer, government, or a capital spending cycle? You want to understand all of these functions here, as it's going to lead you to better analysis on the company-specific information. And that analysis is done oftentimes in a competitive analysis. And here you're basically trying to solve and explain how a business extracts economic rent. So some businesses are really great businesses, and they generate really great returns, and you want to understand why are they able to do that. Other businesses struggle. You also want to understand why they are not able to extract that economic rent. And there are a lot of things that can differentiate competitors, and some matter to some companies and some don't. But cost structure, scale, network effects, a customer relationship, the geography. Our firm owns a filtration company, filtration business, and it's highly engineered, high-tech, high R&D technology that goes into these filtrations, and it's a $50 filter that protects a $100,000 engine. You can see the value that they can extract from that value proposition, and as a result, they've had a return on capital for 25 straight years that has exceeded 15%. So you want to understand all of these things and kind of build into the backlog what allows a business to earn the returns that they have the right to earn. And we have here Porter's 5 forces. You don't have to use it, but use components of it. Because you want to understand the rivalry. What are the competitive dynamics? You want to understand how easy it is for a competitor to enter the market. What are your customers' alternatives? Do the customers need me more than I need customers? Do my suppliers need me more than I need them? So all of these things on Porter's 5 forces are really helpful in helping to identify how businesses extract economic rent and how sustainable that is. So, another quote from Norton, the rear view mirror is always cleaner than the windshield. It's easy to see what's happened, but what will happen next is more important. And that's where financial analysis and trends come into place. So, you want to think about the metrics that matter most to the business model that you are analyzing. Sometimes those will be gross margins, sometimes those will be EBIT or operating margins, sometimes they will be return on assets, sometimes they will be return on capital. You should figure out what matters most to your business and you should focus on those analyses. You should spread historical and projected financials for the 3 main financial statements, the income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. And then you should think about how they spend their cash, because ultimately, I am of the belief that businesses are valued on cash flow. That the cash flow that's generated for equity owners is the cash flow that you should value a business off of. So you want to understand how they spend that cash flow. There are 6 things you can do with cash. You can buy a business. You can buy your own business via share repo. You can reinvest in your business in CapEx. You can pay a dividend, you can pay down debt, or you can do nothing and let cash build. Understand what the company does and understand how that adds value to long-term shareholders. So understand both the sources and the uses of cash. You may also want to do working capital analysis. You may want to understand the leverage. There are common leverage metrics, debt to EBITDA, debt to capital. Are there covenants? Does management have a target metric? Does that target metric make sense? And is it a cyclical metric or is it a static metric? Understand and appreciate the difference between liquidity and leverage. About every 15 years people remember, and we're just about the time now where most people are starting to forget again. There is a difference. You can have a relatively unlevered business get in trouble because they don't have liquidity. You can have a highly levered business be safe because they have plenty of liquidity and debt metrics and covenants that are appropriately made to handle the volatility of the business. The balance sheet should be levered based on the cyclicality and the seasonal volatility of the underlying cash flow. You want to understand the cash flow and the balance sheet in order to make that assessment. And then finally, how they are levered, how their return on equity, return on capital, working capital compares to their competitors can be important. That can kind of build a case study that they are competitively advantaged or competitively disadvantaged in one way or another. So, what are some tips? The projected income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement should tie together. They are linked. Do not unlink them. The out years should make sense. So if you have a business that has generated a 10% margin, and you assume that they will continue to generate a 10% margin, and that business has historically generated a 10% return on equity, and based on how you've done your projections, they are now earning a 30% return on equity, you've probably done something wrong. Go back and recheck. Make sure they're retaining enough capital to run the business. Make sure that they, just make sure that they link. And make sure that you don't have runaway metrics. Don't be mechanical. You want to customize your analysis to the business that you are analyzing, and don't take this section lightly. It's very easy to mess up. You want it to be rational. You can do a tremendous job with your qualitative analysis, but if your quantitative analysis has holes in it, you quickly lose the audience, and it leads to a belief, right or wrong, that your qualitative analysis might be spotty too. So take this seriously. And then valuation, last Buffett quote, price is what you pay, value is what you get. Valuation is an art, it's not a science. You can make a valuation model say pretty much whatever you want it to say. Let it say what the inputs, let it say what it should say. You have inputs. You spend all of your time on qualitative and quantitative analysis. Let those guide your inputs. If you put junk into it, you will get junk out of it. There are many ways to value business. There's discounted cash flow models. There are multiples. And I guess I have one pet peeve that I've been in the business for over a decade. I see experienced sell-siders, I see experienced buy-siders still report on this, and you can get them in a lot of trouble. And that is when to use enterprise value and when to use price or equity. Do not use price to sales. That's wrong. If a company changes their underlying leverage, that will lead you astray. And a very easy way to figure out if you should use enterprise value to sales, enterprise value to EBIT, or price to equity is just draw a line through the interest expense line on the income statement. If you're citing a metric that is above the interest expense line, compare it to enterprise value. If you're comparing a metric that is below the interest expense line, compare it to price. That will save you a lot of trouble, and it will probably save you a lot of money if you enter this profession over the long run. Multiples, just a couple of user bewares. Make sure that there's always an implicit assumption being made when you use multiples, and you need to understand the underlying math that's in play. And I'll just give you a quick example. Let's say you have a business and you're valuing it because it's always traded at an enterprise value to sales of 1.5. So that's the valuation metric that you've decided is rational. That's the valuation metric that you decide. And you want to triangulate it, so you also use an enterprise value to EBIT multiple of 10x. And both might seem rational, but when you use both of those together, you're implying an operating margin of 15%. If that's not a realistic assumption, then you can't use those two together because they imply the same underlying math. So just be careful. Make sure that if you're using peer multiples, make sure the peers have similar attributes. If you're using historical multiples, make sure the business hasn't changed much. Just be aware that you can get in a lot of trouble with either the discount, the DCF or multiples. In terms of the DCF, it is garbage in, garbage out. Fair value is just an output. Focus on the inputs. A discounted cash flow model is basically a series of algebraic equations. There is nothing super fancy about it. The output is important, but only if the inputs, which are derived from fundamental work done on the industry and company level, are well thought out. So spend your time accordingly. Don't worry about getting the best DCF model that you've ever done, because it's just you're just taking a number and dividing it by another number. That's kind of all it is. Discount rate matters. Your long-term growth rate and your discount rate matters a lot. Forever's a long time. Be conservative. Don't have a growth rate of 10% in perpetuity. In 30 years, they'll be bigger than the U.S. economy. So do a multi-stage DCF until you get to a sustainable growth rate that is reasonable. And then in terms of your discount rate, this kind of gets back to the enterprise value versus price discussion on the previous slide. Just make sure that you're using the appropriate metrics. So if you're valuing the enterprise value, you use WACC. If you're valuing the equity, you use your cost of equity. Don't mix and match. And then the terminal value, it is kind of similar to the Hubble telescope. You do the engineering at the new galaxy. So I would recommend considering multiples, or you want to triangulate a few methods to get to a reasonable terminal value. Oftentimes, the terminal value is 80 to 90% of the value. So be careful and triangulate and make sure that the output is reasonable. So the investment merits are basically a recap of the attributes that help support your conclusion. It's basically, there isn't much more to add, so I'll move on to the next one. Investment concerns. Instead of thinking about what will go right, This tackles the business from the other side. It's all about what could go wrong. There are literally pages of risks listed in the 10K filing. I oftentimes find it useful to try to kill off a business, not literally, but what can cause a business to go under? What can cause a business to struggle significantly? Is there a technology obsolescence risk? Is there a competitive landscape that is changing? Is there a balance sheet that cannot handle the cyclicality of their underlying cash flows? What can permanently impair a business? That's what you want to focus on. And if it's quantifiable, it's even better. But a lot of times these risks are more on the qualitative side. But you want to think about the company, you want to think about the industry, and you want to think about the macro environment. And then other potential headings. This shouldn't be a rote exercise. You want to think about the business, think about what's unique to the business that you're analyzing. If there is an ownership backstory here, or a new CEO, or a restructuring plan, or recent balance sheet changes that have happened, or recent M&A that has really shifted the business to a new addressable market, talk about those things. Those are inputs that go into your DCF model that impact value. And oftentimes those are I hate the word catalyst, but I'll say it, those are the catalysts that might be the disconnect between what the market is valued and priced at and the value that's actually inherent in the business. And then tips, start early, ask why, and then ask why again, and then ask why again, until you can't ask it anymore. That will bring you to a happy place. Utilize publicly available resources. The internet is great. Use it. 10Ks, 10Qs, 8Ks, publicly. Websites of the company, websites of their competitors. There is a lot of information out there. Double check your facts. List your data sources. Don't commit plagiarism. And get it reviewed and incorporate feedback from that review session. So with that, I'll turn it back to Mike, and then we'll come up with questions shortly.
Now's the time that everybody's been waiting for. So if I can have a little bit of a drum roll, please. Five Below. Who in the room is familiar with Five Below? Hands in the air. Okay, great. So no starting the research yet. Phones away until the end of the presentation. Five Below is traded on NASDAQ under the ticker FIVE. A little bit of information about Five Below. And before we bring down our rep, just one thing to note. You're going to hear more about the company interacting with Five Below. So this is really just important. We're going to have the opportunity for a couple calls with Five Below. That's going to be later on over the next several weeks. Please do not contact them directly. Do not contact their management teams. Do not contact people you should not be contacting. Feel free to shop there, get the experience, things like that. That's certainly okay. So that's really important. We'll just provide a little bit more about that as we go along. But without further ado, I'm going to welcome up Five Below representative, Christiana Pells. Christiana Pells is really an expert and really expert in the space of investor relations. She has an undergraduate at UCal Berkeley, and then actually she came back here for her master's in investor relations as well as her MBA from Norton, and so she brings a ton of experience. She is the VP of Investor Relations with Five Below. So to have someone of her caliber come here today, we're really thrilled. So without further ado, Christiana.
Thank you. Hello and welcome to Five Below. How many of you have heard those words before? Oh great, that means you've actually been in the stores. For those of you that haven't been, I'm going to play a quick video so you can see the great shopping experience that we provide. Great, hopefully that got you pumped up. Let me get back to the investor deck now, which is on our website, so if you don't catch everything, that's okay, you can go look it up. All right, great. Christiana Feltz. Before I get started, just wanted to let you know that I came to Five Below 2 years ago to head up the investor relations program, and I was the first in-house investor relations person that Five Below had hired. So I left San Francisco to come back to Philly. As he mentioned that I was at Norton. I got my MBA in finance. I also did the Lauder Institute, which was an MA in International Studies. But I was really excited to come back. I had been recruited by a headhunter who told me the story of the high growth, the profitability, no debt. And I was coming back here for my 20-year Norton reunion and went into a store, and I just loved the store experience. Could see how amazing the store is and why it's so popular and why it works in so many different places across the country. I met the management team. They are seriously fantastic, and I don't say that about every management team. And if you guys go on to become investment analysts, you will see what I'm referring to. I previously had run or worked at Safeway doing investor relations. That's the big grocery chain, and also did investor relations at Shutterfly. Previous to that, I was not in investor relations, I was in banking. So that's just a quick overview. Let's go to the first slide here, which these are the forward-looking statements. These will be in front of every presentation. It's a legal requirement, and it just means that we're basically we may make forward-looking statements and we're not bound by them. So a little bit about Five Below, then I'll talk about that differentiated experience I alluded to, our powerful store model that includes the economics, the numbers, and our vision for growth. All right, we are a unique investment opportunity. We are a leading high growth value retailer. And value in this sense refers more to the value we bring to the customer. It does not refer to the stock. Okay, so we're a growth stock. We have a long runway for unit growth, meaning we have a lot of stores that we can open throughout the country. Our target is 2,500 and we're only at 725 right now. We have a compelling new store model. I'll get into that. consistent performance, and benefits from scale. So this is really our productivity loop. It's the 5 distinctive growth drivers. This is what continues to let Five Below grow. First is the teen and tween focus. That is our target customer. We also have universal appeal. So our customer may be that target, but the targets shop with their moms and their dads and their aunts and uncles and grandparents all come in as well as college students, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds. It is truly a universally accepted type of company and a store where investment analysts tell me that they come in and spend $50, no problem. These are single males, okay? Handpicked, trend right, wow products. We call our products wow products because you pick them up and go, wow, I can't believe that's $4 or $5. We curate our assortment, we edit it so that we only show our customers what we think the best products are. Again, exceptional value, $5 and below. A fun, differentiated shopping experience. You saw some of that in the video, I'll get more into that later. Disciplined, high growth. So we are growing very quickly, 20% plus a year, and we are doing so in a disciplined fashion. So we are not, we are being smart about it. We're hiring the right people. We're making our infrastructure support the future growth. And leading all that is a very experienced management team. So here's our focus, the target customer. On the left, you see Gen Z, 8 to 14-year-olds, girls and boys. And on the right, millennial, Gen X, 24 to 44-year-old, those are the parents. And they like to shop together, and it is considered a bonding experience for a lot of these customers. So here are some of our wow products. We have 8 worlds: sports, tech, create, party, candy, room, style, and now. Those worlds have not changed since our founders first came up with the idea back in 2002. The only world that changed is that media became tech as we transitioned from DVDs to phones. So we have over now 725 stores because we've added another 100 stores since the end of last year. We're in 33 states. We are growing at 20%, as I mentioned, and we're expecting to open 125 stores this year and with 750 stores. Those 2 dots there are our DCs. We have one in Pedricktown, New Jersey, and one in Olive Branch, Mississippi. Here's a quick roster of our management team. Tom Velios is the co-founder. He's now our chairman. He joined in 2002, was formerly with Zany Brainy, where he knew David Schlesinger, and those were the 2 co-founders. Joel Anderson, our CEO, came over from Walmart.com after a long career, including at Toys R Us. Ken Bull is our CFO. He's my boss. He's our boss. I brought 2 of my colleagues on the finance team in the back of the room, Courtney and Sandra. He has been there since 2005, which really helps bring some steadiness to what can be a crazy high growth environment. Eric, CAO, Michael Romenko, the EVP of merchandising. We are a merchant-driven company, so the merchandise is the most important to us. So he's playing a very critical role. George Hill is running the retail operations, came over from Dick's, and David McEwen is running marketing. So what about our experience? What is it? You saw in the video, we came up with this last year. We're a purpose-driven value retailer. The words on this page are crucial to everything that we do every day. We believe that life is way better when you're free to let go and have fun in an amazing experience filled with unlimited possibilities, priced so low so you can always say yes to the newest, coolest stuff. And that's also critical. We are a yes store. Parents can come in with their kids and say, yes, you can have that, instead of, no, that's too expensive, put it away. So here's how we look at the products that we offer. We bucket them in 3 different areas, and I'll start with the bottom here, which is the core of Five Below. This is our own stuff. This is planned part of our store where we have blankets, we change them every year, we improve the quality, we change them to fit whatever kind of trend is going on, whether that be a certain color or camouflage or certain fabric. The surfboards have only increased in quality since we first started offering those, and the yoga mats, again, we change them every year to fit what our customer wants. Then we move into the license and trends and brands. A lot of these will be candy brands that you might recognize, like Hershey. Also, Lego is very popular. We're doing a lot with Disney. As we open stores in Southern California, we have actually become closer partners with Disney, which has been amazing for us. Craze trends, now these are what you might think Five Below is all about, but it's actually only a small part of our business. Last year, the spinner craze drove a lot of business and drove our comparable store sales, our comps, and caused quite, caused really our business to really turn in a different direction. I shouldn't say direction, but our business really picked up by leaps and bounds since that trend, because we attracted so many new customers who discovered Five Below and came back into the store to shop it. And we've seen them come back. It's been a year since this trend happened, and we were able to cycle the trend successfully, which has also helped drive our stock price up to where it is today. So this is back to the store. No one else does what we do in 8,000 square feet. So who are our competitors? It's anyone and everyone, but no one, because no one else can provide the products that we provide at the value we provide in 8 Worlds in an easy to shop store environment that's also fun. So we're known for certain of our, like the wheelbarrows, those fixtures. Those are interactive, so people are encouraged to take product out and play with it. And on the basketballs, we decided to ship those deflated without a cardboard box, so we could save on air, so to speak, so we didn't have to pay for that. And then we inflate them in the store, and people, again, are encouraged to play with the basketballs. The candy is also very popular. These towers are somewhat new, and 10-cent candy is something that every kid loves, and adults like it too, by the way. And then here's our style area where we have nail polish. We're known for Funky Fingers is one of our brands. And that area is one of the trends that's happening right now with the spa trend with face masks and bath bombs. Okay, we're skipping that. Again, our associate crew is key to Five Below. These are the associates in the store in particular and our home office. But they are encouraged to let go and have fun. I think some of these pictures show that. We call them the WOW crew. And you will also see this passion come across from our customers. We get emails, letters, social media postings. There are many, many customers who are extremely loyal to Five Below, and that is something that I did not know when I started working at the company, and it is truly amazing. So where are our stores? Sorry, let me back up here. Onto the store model, which is something that might be more interesting now to you on a numbers basis. Located in very high traffic, vibrant centers. That is the main thing that we look for. We co-locate with Targets, Costco's, Ulta's, major national retailers. We look to be in a place that can drive traffic. We actually have become a traffic driver as we have gotten bigger. So about half of our customers come to Five Below, come to the center and come to us because they want to come to us. The other half come as maybe a second stop. This is based on third-party research. Our stores are 8,000 square feet. We lease all of our stores. We have proven that our stores are successful across many different types of markets, urban, suburban, and semi-rural. The stores really started out more in the suburban area, but we've since expanded to the urban area. I don't know Perhaps you've been to the Chestnut Street store that opened about 3 years ago, actually. We've been opening more urban stores. Our new home office is at 7th and Market. There's a store there as well. But the semi-rural ones are the ones that I think have surprised most people. They have been some of our top grand openings in our history, and they continue to do really well. So here are the metrics. We have a very low investment in the store. It's about $300,000 net investment. The four-wall EBITDA contribution on average after a year is $450,000, and that is your 150% ROI. So obviously the payback is within a year, and that's very exciting and very unusual among retailers. That's industry-leading metric. We also measure then year one sales, or AUV, average unit volume, and it has been increasing over time. So we expect this 2017 class to end up over 2 million. So the consistency is both by region and by class. So we have our regions listed here and the various classes from 2002 to 6 all the way up to 16. The 17 class is not completed yet because they haven't had a full year of operations. So now a little bit more about the numbers and our growth. The 5-year CAGR for sales is 25%, and for EPS, and well, for net income it's 30%, EPS it's 29%. That's just a rounding error. We have not done any buybacks yet, although we did receive authorization to do so in March. Our operating income is also strong, and we have over a decade of positive annual comp growth, ranging from 7.1% in 2012 to 6.5% last year. This was mainly driven by the spinners and the effects of the spinners, bringing more people to Five Below. And the transactions drive the comps. Our growth is also self-funded. I mentioned earlier, we don't have any debt. Our CapEx spend has varied a bit over the years depending on what our needs are. When we have a distribution center to build, it'll get a little bit higher, like here's 20 million, plus there was another 5 million here. That was for Pedricktown, 25 million for the equipment. And we will have a higher CapEx in 2018 as we are building a new distribution center in the southeast near Atlanta. Our free cash flow is very strong, 100 million last year. We have strong free cash flow and ample liquidity and no debt, so no leverage. Our vision for growth. We call this our 2020 vision, 20% top line growth and 20% plus bottom line growth, which means we're getting leverage in the model. And here are our growth drivers. Grow our store base, and this is the most important to us. This is the best use of our capital, and this is where we are focused. Reinvest in wow merchandise. I mentioned earlier that we are a merchant-driven company. The merchandise is what drives people into the store, and that drives sales. Increase brand awareness. Our brand awareness is quite low at this point. I'll go into that a little bit later. Scale our systems and infrastructure and build our own, a great team and culture. So again, a map of the stores. You'll see where we started in 2007. We only had 67 stores. End of last year, 25% CAGR growth. This was very important to us. We went into California in 2017. California is like its own state. There are specific rules like Prop 65 around product labeling. You may have seen that. We were very happy with the results, and we continue to be very happy with the results. It was our 32nd state. In Arkansas, we entered in 2018 recently, and that was our 33rd state. One of the things that we are focusing on is densifying existing markets so that we can gain some brand awareness and get more leverage there. Okay, we're only about, at the end of last year, we were only about a quarter of the way to 2,500 stores. We've had several studies done to validate that number, and we believe that is the opportunity for the US alone. that would be over a decade of growth. So back to the WOW merchandise, we have a great team. We continuously reinvest in product. That means our merch margin does not improve over time because we want to make sure that we have the right products to bring to our customers. We have global sourcing with over 800 vendors, and back to the disciplined growth, low cost operating philosophy. So here's an example of the WOW merchandise and the benefits of scale. Scale just means as we get bigger, we are able to take advantage of pricing power and other things like real estate. We get better locations. So here was an RC car, remote controls RC. It was $5, which was amazing in 2012. And then we have an infrared helicopter that came after that, was also just $5. Then we did a deal with Marvel to do a heliball. So here we had a flying figure, also $5. And then last year we came out with a micro RC quadcopter. So people were incredibly impressed that we were selling that for $5. And we will continue to amaze our customers with this year's holiday lineup. So here's a global picture of where we source. We don't make trends, we follow them. That's very important to understand. And we have a great group of merchants that comb social media, looks at Google Trends, Amazon. Our stores listen to our customers and report back. We listen to our vendors, we go to trade shows, so we gather information from all different sources, somewhat similar to a mosaic that you might talk about in the investment world. So our brand awareness, as we have evolved, as the social media phenomenon has also increased. In 2002, all we did was print circulars. In 2014, we added TV in Q4 only. And in 16, we got stronger with mobile social. We beta tested our e-commerce site as well. 17 was the first year of e-commerce. So we've been able to increase our brand awareness in 56 markets that have been open 2 or more years. These are the same 56 markets we measured in spring of 15 as well as the spring of 18. So our brand awareness has gone from 45% to 61%. And while Philadelphia has high brand awareness, given that we have 30 stores within 30 miles and we were founded here, Los Angeles does not. It's only 14%. Miami was similar to Los Angeles when we first opened there, so there's a lot of room to grow. Here's a little bit more about our core customer, our average customer. This is an average, not the core loyal customer. They shop frequently, 10 times a year, purchase 60 items a year, and spend about $150 a year. The income range is quite varied, about a quarter over $100,000, about a quarter under $50,000. And they tend to spend about a quarter spend over 20 minutes in the store, which is a very solid statistic in retail. Back to the DCs, we are planning on opening the Southeast DC next year, the Southwest DC a year later, and then a Midwest DC a year later. And we continually work to retain our solid culture, our talent, and our scale. So in conclusion, I hope you'll see why we think that Five Below is a unique and great investment opportunity. We're a leading high growth value retailer, long runway per unit growth, compelling new store model, consistent performance, and increasing benefits from scale. Thank you. Are there any questions? Yeah, okay. I can't remember when the first prep call is. I believe it's October 22nd. Great. So we'll talk then.
Thank you so much, everyone. One more round of applause, please. Okay, we're up against 2 o'clock. I want to be mindful of everyone's time, but we can take a few questions here, so I'll invite up some of my co-teammates, Sean Heberling, Emilia Pascher, Adish Jain, and then Pete Connors as well. And then we'll just take questions from you all. If you do have to leave because of the 2 o'clock time frame, feel free. We will be recording this. All of this information will be distributed and is available on the Five Below website. So I'll open it up now for questions.
Quick questions. The slide deck that was used earlier on, the presentation, that's all. Where's that available?
We're going to send that out. We'll send out a copy of this presentation to everybody, including those student teams that weren't able to attend. We're going to announce the subject company to the entire group of teams. So you'll probably see that either later today or tomorrow.
So for those maybe on the technology sphere there, who didn't hear that, all the information will be made available. Other questions?
How much time do we have to present our research?
So the question is, how much time do you have to present your research? So the way that we describe the flow of the competition is going to start with a research report that will be written. You heard about a lot of the best practices. If you do have the opportunity to get to the final, top 4 teams, they have about...
So the actual presentation during the final, 10 minutes start to finish, no extensions granted for the presentation part, and it's 10 minutes to respond to questions from our panel of 3 to 5 judges.
So 10 minutes for the presentation, 10 minutes for Q&A. Other questions?
As far as the industry advisor, expert, would they reach out to us, and do we get time for introductory, or is that counted for 6 hours?
Well, if you don't have an industry mentor now, I'll sort of say this more broadly. Please reach out to us so we can find an industry mentor for you. We'll often try to find an industry mentor that has some association with your school or university. If we can't find someone, we'll reach into our broader pool of resources. And as far as productive time, again, you're going to want to try and spend your time amongst the team to tee things up. And then when you're interacting with them, if it's productive time, actually talking about more of the analysis, then that would be considered productive time. Other questions? Okay. On behalf of the CFA Society of Philadelphia, I wanted to thank Hirtle Callaghan for letting us use their offices, for all of you in the room volunteering for Thank you.
Like